When the demonstrators began dispersing, a mob of about 300 youths in the Falls Road area started stoning soldiers. The army moved in with vehicles, and the shooting then began.
How the incident began, no one's sure. It came out of the blue on a hot summer's evening. Troops of the Royal Anglians said they hit one 16-year-old, but were uncertain if they'd shot any snipers in the Divis flats. Hospitals in Belfast say at least 4 injured people have been admitted.
I'm there in the centre. 4th of March, UVF men came to the door and fired the shots, and Joey's hit maybe 6-7 times. And that was on the 4th of March, but he didn't die until the 12th of March. And as it subsequently found out that the man that was charged with Joey's murder, my dad found out that it was someone he used to give a lift to work with in the mornings. And I think that really affected my father. He could never really talk about that after. And he wasn't sure whether the gunman was actually coming to kill Joey or to kill him because he worked with him. The investigation, it was absolutely horrendous from the beginning. About a week after the murder, my mother actually found a bullet lying in the front path of the house, and it just shows you the amount of time they must have spent if they didn't discover a bullet lying in the pathway. Man across the street, he was able to pick the murderer out from the identity period. My mother went in, she picked the murderer out from the identity period. The man was arrested. The first interview lasted 11 minutes, and the second interview he got at the time was 13 minutes. Was his house searched? No. Even the gun that was used to kill Joey was actually took out of a police forensic lab. It just shows you, I think the UVF at the time broke into the police forensic lab and stole hundreds of guns. There was supposed to be high security on them, and I think it was carloads of the UVF arrived up and went into the police forensic lab. There was 2 security guards. They just came in past them, filled their cars with weapons, and drove out again. No one was ever prosecuted. Hundreds of guns came. When you hear anyone saying drawing a line on it, I would say, stand in my shoes or anyone in my family. Like, my mother was absolutely devastated after Joey's death. She was never the same again. Which is hard.
On that Sunday, Margaret would have left the community centre about 9:15. Suddenly there was a bang, and Margaret fell to the ground. A soldier identified him as a 20-year-old gunman with a gun in the left hand, and then he shot him. That was Margaret. Them double houses are. How far is that? On a bright summer's night, you could mistake a 13-year-old girl for a 20-year-old gunman. Well, my mother really suffered. Making dinners, she always put her dinner plate out, and then that Christmas she bought her Christmas presents. My mother died at 57. She never ever got over Margaret. She was hooked on sleeping tablets, chain smoker, nerve tablets for years. And that's why she died at 57. But she could never cope with Margaret's death. No different individuals can cope with grief. My mother couldn't, never. And then the guilt was always there. She blamed my father.
How many people were shot that day?
5 were killed. There was a couple of others wounded. And John Dougal was shot in the back. Margaret was shot next by the same soldier that shot John Dougal. The bullet went through Father Fitzpatrick into Paddy Butler, killed the 2 of them. As they fell to the ground, David McCafferty was 15. He peeked out to try and pull Father Fitzpatrick in, and he was shot dead. And for their family to hear that they were gunmen and paramilitaries, you know what I mean? It's a thing that you just can't forget. You have to find the truth of what happened to them. The majority of families don't want prosecutions. All the families in our case don't want prosecutions. They want to hear the truth of what happened that night. That is really what they're looking for. We have a chance, but if we don't get a chance, I'll be distraught. Like, I struggle, but if we don't get this inquest done, I don't know. It just strikes my head sometimes. And
this legacy, I think it's the worst thing that could possibly have happened, because it stops the general public really knowing what's happening. You know, it denies the family that right. Their right to information. The British government are absolutely immune to what went on here. They have no interest. They don't care. They don't care about citizens here, what they think or getting to the truth. Like in most societies, you would think one of the main things of the government would be to help and protect the citizens. Like there was no protecting the citizens here. And what they're actually doing now with this legacy is just denying their own citizens a chance to get to the truth.